Deb Newberry again, talking to you again about my favorite subject, nanotechnology, and the impact of surface area. And in one of the previous videos, I talked about how you could take effervescent tablets, the Alka-Seltzer type tablets like this, and break them up into a different number of pieces, put them in a cup of water, and measure the time it takes the different numbers of pieces to dissolve. So that was kind of the outline of the experiment that I still have on my chart on the wall. But now I want to talk to you a little bit about how to measure and how to calculate the surface area of these tablets as you keep breaking them up into different pieces. One way, and the easiest way, is perhaps just use a basic ruler. And it's pretty straightforward because it turns out that these Alka-Seltzer tablets, the one I have in my hand, happens to be exactly 1 inch in diameter. Now, we're probably going to, being scientists, we're going to use the metric units, and 1 inch we know converts to 2.65 centimeters. So we now know the diameter of our tablet. And if we want, we can use a ruler. We also need to know the thickness of that tablet because we need to count for the area that's around the circumference or the outside of that tablet. And it turns out when I measured it that the height of that tablet was around 4 millimeters. Or 0.4 centimeters. There. So we now have the physical dimensions of our tablet. And depending on what tablet you may choose, you might want to measure it yourself. Another kind of fancier way is to use some of these vernier calipers. And these have a little moving wheel on them that you can adjust so that the prongs here will just fit across and you can measure. You can read off the scale on the caliper the exact dimensions. This is a little bit fancier, but this is actually the way that a lot of mechanical engineers and civil engineers are going to be measuring very small things. Things that you can't always measure with your basic everyday ruler. So might be worthwhile. The instructions were on the package that the caliper came in. They aren't too expensive. They're less than, you can get some less than $4. You can even now buy digital ones. This is the manual caliper. But that's a way you want to get the measurement. You want to determine the size of your tablet. Now, we've got a tablet that is basically a very shrunken cylinder. And we know that the area of a circle is pi r squared, where pi is, we're going to take it to be 3.14. It's actually a number that can go on for infinity with all kinds of different decimal points, but 3.14 is a good enough value for pi right now. And then r is the radius, which is going to be 1/2 of the diameter. So we can calculate the radius of our tablet. And then, so that will give us the area for the top and or the bottom of our tablet. So to get the total flat surface area, I'm just going to call it flat surface area, for the top and the bottom is going to be 2 times the area of the top and the bottom, which is pi r squared, which you can calculate once you know the diameter, once you've measured that diameter. Now, to get the area that is this flat or the edge, we know that the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. There's that pi number again, and you can spend a lot of time looking on Google and Wikipedia to figure out the history and the origins of pi. It actually goes back thousands of years, But again, we can use 3.14, 2 times 3.14, and there is the r, the radius. And so when we calculate the surface area, top and bottom, as well as the circumference, 2 pi r, times, we've got to multiply that times the height in order to get the area of the edge of our tablet. So it's 2 pi r around, and it multiplied by the height is going to give us that surface area. And so when you take all three of these numbers, the top and the bottom, and the area of the circumference, this guy, you're going to be able to calculate the surface area of this entire Alka-Seltzer or effervescent tablet. Now, this is where it gets kind of a little bit tricky. What you're going to need to do is hold on to that ruler and don't drop your pieces of Alka-Seltzer or your pieces of tablet into the water right away. Because if I take this tablet and I break it into two pieces, you can see that I have now increased the total surface area of these two pieces. I've added this surface area and this surface area where I broke the tablet into two pieces. So now when I calculate the surface area for these two pieces of my tablet, I still have the area on the top and the bottom. I still have the area of the outside edge, the circumference, but I've now added additional area here, which is what I want to measure with my ruler, the length of that break times the height that I've measured. And so for each time I break my tablet, here I'm going to break it in each of these into two pieces. So now I have 4 pieces of tablet. So I need to make sure that in each one of my calculations, as I break my tablet into smaller and smaller pieces, that I have made sure that I've added in that extra area to the total surface area that is a result of me breaking that tablet into many, many pieces. Now, of course, if you take one of those tablets and you grind it into a powder, you're not going to be able to measure the surface area of all those tiny pieces of the powder. But if you take and you draw a graph, I'm going to do it really small up here, but if you draw a graph and you plot time to dissolve, and this is probably going to be in seconds, time to dissolve in seconds here versus number of pieces or surface area. You can make your x-axis be a measurement of the surface area. And so you're going to get a curve that probably looks something like that, because it's going to take longer for that. I'm going to give you a hint here. It's going to take longer for that entire piece, that whole piece of tablet to dissolve than it's going to take for the broken pieces to dissolve. And you get out here and you can say, oh, I know that it took 22 seconds, for example, for my powder to dissolve. And you can get a guess, an estimate for the surface area of all that powder because of the way you drew your graph. So I wanted to mainly use this video to let you know about the method to calculate the surface area for your tablet. Top and the bottom, 2 circles, pi r squared, times 2, one for the top and one for the bottom. And the circumference all the way around that tablet is 2 pi r, and then you've got to multiply it to get the height. You've got to multiply it by the height that you measured of your tablet. And then the tricky part is every time you break that tablet into more pieces, you have to be sure that you add in that broken edge that you've now exposed to the water, which is going to increase your surface area. The chemical reactivity of your tablet is going to increase, and I bet you the time to dissolve is going to go down. Give it a try. You'll have fun. Play with these numbers. Do the measurements. You can do the calculations by hand on a piece of paper if you'd like, or you can use the calculator that you probably have on your smartphone, or something that you can also do is put the equations, the numbers, the values that you measure, and the equations into an Excel spreadsheet and put the formulas in. That's good practice for you to do. In fact, that type of capability is something that industry people, folks that are going to hire you, that you might find a very useful skill to have in your career. So have fun. Play with the Alka-Seltzer. Play with the water. Try the different ways of graphing. You can use the Excel spreadsheet capability. Pick a couple columns and it'll draw the graph for you. Just make sure it's the way that you think that graph should go. Because Excel, although it has a lot of capabilities, sometimes will think that it's smarter than you are. So be sure that you double check the direction that the graph is drawn and make sure that it makes sense to you. I always like to hand draw it out myself first, just rough, sketch it out, so that when I go to the computer and ask it to do its magic for me, I'm pretty sure that it's doing it correctly. Well, have fun. Get your ruler, grab your stopwatch, grab some tablets, go and have fun and learn about the impact of surface area.